Creatine make this mistake, and chances are you're one of them. Creatine is no longer exclusive to gyms and young weightlifters. More and more people over 50 are discovering what science has confirmed for decades. This supplement fights sarcopenia, improves cognition, supports cellular energy levels, and protects the muscle mass that aging insists on stealing. But what few people realize is that taking creatine the wrong way is almost as ineffective as not taking it at all. The problem is that most people start supplementing without truly understanding how it works, and these mistakes born from lack of information not only waste the supplement's full potential, but can bring real consequences for health and results. That's why today you'll see the 10 mistakes that 90% of people over 50 make when taking creatine, so you can identify whether you're making any of them and correct them before they cause further harm. Stay tuned until the end, because mistake number 5 is the most common of all. Before we begin, please tell us in the comments your name and the city you're watching from. We'd love to know. Mistake number 1, getting scared by this is one of the first obstacles that appears, and also one of the most unnecessary. When creatine begins to act in the body, it pulls water into the muscle cells in a process called intracellular hydration. This mechanism is central to how the supplement works and represents exactly what you want to happen. Muscles become more voluminous, better nourished, and have greater capacity to produce energy during workouts. The visual side effect of this process is a weight gain on the scale of 1 to 3 kilograms in the first few weeks, depending on each person's body composition. For those over 50 who already monitor their weight closely for health reasons, that number can seem like an immediate red flag. But it's important to understand that this is not accumulated fat. It is simply functional hydration of muscle tissue. The great irony is that many people stop taking creatine at exactly this moment, which is when the body is beginning the process of adaptation and muscular saturation. The result is abandoning a proven effective supplement for a reason that poses no real risk to health. What makes this mistake even more problematic is that it reinforces a mistaken belief that creatine makes you gain weight. That is not true. Creatine does not add fat to the body. What it does is increase intramuscular water content, which is beneficial and not aesthetically harmful. Regular practitioners who understand this process quickly notice that the mirror tells a different story than the scale. Muscles with better definition, greater volume, and visibly superior tone. The correction here is simple, but requires a shift in perspective. Use the mirror, your energy throughout the day, your performance in workouts, and how easily you recover between sessions as your main metrics. The scale is just a number. It does not distinguish fat from muscle, intracellular water from inflammatory swelling, nor does it capture the real improvement happening inside your tissues. Give the process at least 4 weeks before drawing any conclusions about your weight. Mistake number 2, getting worried because of blood test results. This is a mistake that happens at the intersection of medicine and supplementation and deserves special attention. Creatinine is a natural byproduct of creatine metabolism in the body and is one of the main markers used by doctors to assess kidney function. Under normal conditions, the kidneys filter creatinine from the blood efficiently, and its levels remain within an established reference range. The problem begins when you supplement with creatine. Creatinine levels in the blood can rise mildly to moderately, even if your kidneys are functioning in perfect health. For those over 50 who get routine checkups frequently, this elevation can cause unnecessary panic, and in many cases, it leads to discontinuing the supplement based on medical guidance that did not consider the context of supplementation. The doctor sees the elevated number, associates it with kidney risk, and recommends stopping. This is completely understandable from a clinical standpoint, but it is avoidable with a simple prior conversation. Creatine, when used at recommended doses by adults with healthy kidney function, does not cause kidney damage. This is one of the most well-documented points in the scientific literature on supplementation. Dozens of long-term studies have evaluated kidney markers in people who used creatine for months and even years, without finding evidence of kidney function impairment in healthy individuals. The increase in creatinine in these cases is called a functional elevation, not a logical one. The practical solution is to always inform your doctor that you are using creatine before any blood test. This allows the results to be interpreted in the correct context, avoiding unnecessary interruptions and ensuring that kidney assessment is done more accurately, using other complementary markers if necessary. Mistake number 3, taking insufficient doses out of fear. Afraid of side effects, many people over 50 reduce their creatine dose on their own, to 1 gram or 2 grams daily, imagining that less is safer. This reasoning is understandable, but it works against the very goal of supplementation. Creatine works through progressive muscular saturation. For it to produce real effects on performance, recovery, and the protection of lean mass, the muscles need to reach a minimum concentration level of phosphocreatine. Doses below 3 grams daily are unlikely to reach that threshold in adults with average muscle mass. The result is taking the supplement for entire weeks without feeling any perceptible difference, which reinforces the mistaken belief that creatine doesn't work for me. This creates a cycle of frustration, giving up, and eventually abandoning a tool that could be extremely valuable for preserving quality of life throughout aging. The scientifically supported recommended daily dose is 3 grams to 5 grams of creatine monohydrate. This range is widely studied, considered safe for healthy adults, and sufficient to promote muscular saturation gradually and consistently over 3 to 4 weeks. There is no evidence that doses above 5 grams bring additional benefits for most people, and anything below 3 grams will likely be insufficient to produce the expected results. Start with the correct dose from the beginning and trust the process. Mistake number 4, not increasing your hydration. Creatine and water are inseparable. The main mechanism of action of the supplement depends directly on there being sufficient water in the body, since creatine pulls fluids into the muscle cells. This means that if the total volume of water available in the body is insufficient, the effect is twofold. Creatine does not work as it should, and tissues end up competing for available fluids, which can result in real discomfort. After age 50, the perception of thirst naturally decreases due to changes in the hypothalamic mechanoreceptors responsible for signaling dehydration. In simple terms, your body starts asking for less water than it actually needs, and many adults are already living in a state of mild, chronic dehydration without realizing it. Adding creatine to this scenario without adjusting fluid intake can cause headaches, muscle cramps, unexplained fatigue, and a general malaise that is often mistakenly attributed to the supplement. It is like putting more fuel in a car and forgetting to check the oil. The most common consequence is abandoning something proven effective due to a discomfort that could have been resolved with 1 extra glass of water per day. The correction is to establish a consistent hydration routine throughout the entire day, not just during workouts. For those using creatine, the general recommendation is to consume at least 35 milliliters of water per kilogram of body weight daily, with this volume distributed throughout all hours of the day and not consumed all at once. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell. Having constant access to science-based information is what will help you progress with health over the long term in the world of exercise. Mistake number 5, taking it on an empty stomach. This is the most common mistake of all, and the reason is simple. Most people take creatine the same way they take a medication, on an empty stomach with a glass of water in the morning. Many adults over 50 follow intermittent fasting routines or simply have no appetite when they wake up and end up taking creatine alone without any food accompanying it. From a safety standpoint, this causes no problem, but from an efficiency standpoint, it can represent a real loss of potential. Studies on creatine absorption show that the presence of insulin in the blood significantly facilitates the transport of creatine into muscle cells, and the main stimulus for insulin release is the ingestion of carbohydrates and, to a lesser degree, proteins. When you take creatine on a complete empty stomach, without any food that stimulates insulin, the transport of creatine to the muscle may be less efficient than when it is taken alongside a meal. This does not mean that creatine on an empty stomach is useless. It means you may be unnecessarily leaving benefits on the table. The correction is simple. Whenever possible, take creatine together with a meal or snack that contains some source of carbohydrate or protein. It does not need to be a full meal. A piece of fruit, a slice of toast, a yogurt, or anything else that minimally stimulates the insulin response is already sufficient to optimize absorption. Small adjustments, big differences. Mistake number 6, choosing cheap brands without certification. Creatine is one of the most widely available supplements on the market, and the price difference between versions can be enormous. Faced with generic options at very attractive prices, it is tempting to save money. But in this specific case, the savings can end up costing much more. Products without independent quality certification may contain impurities, heavy metals in concentrations above acceptable levels, inconsistent dosages, and cross-contamination with other substances. For younger older adults whose bodies are at full detoxification capacity, this risk may be smaller. But after age 50, the efficiency of the body's filtration systems begins to decline, and sensitivity to impurities and contaminants tends to be greater. In addition, many people in this age group use continuous prescription medications, and interactions between contaminants and drugs can have consequences that are difficult to trace. The most common consequence of using low-quality creatine is investing time, money, and expectation in a product that simply does not deliver what it promises. But the most serious consequence is potentially compromising your health due to lack of attention to what is being ingested. The solution is to seek out creatine monohydrate with internationally recognized quality seals, such as CreaPure, which guarantee purity above 99.9% and reliable dosage in each serving. The price difference between a certified and a non-certified creatine is small when divided by the cost per daily dose. It is not worth saving money here. Mistake number 7. Overdoing it because you feel stronger. When creatine starts to take effect, the feeling is motivating. Workouts become more fluid, weights feel more manageable, recovery between sets improves visibly, and overall energy increases. For someone who had been feeling limited by the natural wear of the years, this improvement can seem like a green light to accelerate much more than they should. And that is exactly where one of the most harmful mistakes you can make lies. Many adults over 50 interpret the performance improvement generated by creatine as a signal to rapidly increase their training load or volume disproportionately. The fundamental problem is that there is a difference in adaptation speed between the different tissues of the body. Muscles respond relatively quickly to training stimuli and supplementation, but tendons, ligaments, and joint cartilage adapt at a much slower pace, and this difference in pace creates a window of vulnerability that can result in overload injuries, tendinopathies, and joint pain that interrupt all the progress that has been achieved. After age 50, this difference in adaptation speed between muscle and connective tissue is even more pronounced. Correct progression is gradual and intentional, guided by the body's signals and not by the excitement of the moment. Longevity in training is infinitely more valuable than any rapid advance. Respect the process, respect your body's signals, and understand that creatine is here to enhance a consistent journey, not to compress it irresponsibly. Mistake number 8. Using a loading phase when it's not needed. The loading phase, also called the saturation phase, is a strategy that consists of taking high doses of creatine, generally between 15 grams and 20 grams per day, divided into 4 to 5 servings throughout the day, during the first 5 to 7 days. The goal is to saturate muscular phosphocreatine stores more quickly than the conventional maintenance protocol would allow. In theory, this works. In practice, for most people over 50, it is unnecessary and counterproductive. High doses of creatine ingested all at once or at short intervals frequently cause significant gastrointestinal discomfort. Diarrhea, nausea, cramps, and abdominal bloating are the most commonly reported symptoms. For someone who starts supplementing with expectation and enthusiasm, these effects are disconcerting and, in most cases, lead to immediate abandonment. Creatine then becomes associated with side effects that would not exist with a simpler and more appropriate protocol. The good news is that the loading phase is not necessary. The conventional maintenance protocol, with 3 grams to 5 grams per day, reaches the same level of muscular saturation in about 3 to 4 weeks, without any of the discomforts. The only difference is the speed at which the stores are filled, and for most people seeking health and longevity, that difference in time has no practically relevant impact. Skip the loading phase, start directly with the maintenance dose, and maintain consistency. That is the smartest path. Mistake number 9. Giving up too soon. Creatine is not a stimulant. It does not produce an immediate feeling of energy, focus, or euphoria like caffeine does. Its mechanism of action is fundamentally different. It works at the cellular level, progressively increasing phosphocreatine stores in the muscles, which improves the capacity for adenosine triphosphate resynthesis during high-intensity efforts. This saturation process is gradual and takes time. With the maintenance protocol of 3 grams to 5 grams per day, complete saturation can take 3 to 4 weeks. Many adults over 50 take creatine for 7 to 10 days, notice no obvious difference in their workout or energy levels, and conclude that the supplement does not work for them. This is one of the most common and most mistaken conclusions there is. Abandoning creatine before 4 weeks is the equivalent of planting a seed, watering it for 1 week, and pulling it out of the ground before it has any chance to sprout. The bitter part of this situation is that many people give up exactly when they are just days away from starting to feel the first real effects. You will know that creatine is working when you notice that you can do more repetitions with the same load, that recovery between sets has become faster, that fatigue at the end of workouts has decreased, and that your overall energy throughout the day has improved. These signs do not appear overnight. Commit to at least 4 to 6 weeks of consistent daily use before making any assessment, and observe concrete metrics of performance and recovery, not just subjective day-to-day feelings. Mistake number 10, using it to replace bad habits. This is perhaps the most philosophical mistake on the list, but also one of the most harmful in terms of real results. Creatine is an amplifier, not a savior. It enhances what already exists. If the foundation is solid, it improves results significantly. If the foundation is fragile, it does not have enough power to compensate for the deficits. Many people over 50 start supplementing hoping that creatine will compensate for poor sleep, inconsistent nutrition, or a diet low in protein, sedentary behavior throughout the day, and high levels of chronic stress. But no supplement has that power. After age 50, deep sleep is essential for muscle recovery and hormonal balance, especially anabolic hormones such as growth hormone and testosterone, which are predominantly released during deep sleep phases. Protein in the diet is indispensable for the reconstruction of muscle tissue to occur efficiently, since creatine does not replace the amino acids necessary for protein synthesis. Stress management directly influences cortisol levels, which in excess catabolizes muscle mass and sabotages any effort toward hypertrophy or muscle maintenance. The consequence of using creatine as a shortcut is feeling no real benefit and reinforcing the false belief that supplements do not work. Treat creatine for what it truly is, an optimization tool for those who already have a solid foundation of healthy habits. Sleep well, eat enough protein, train regularly, manage stress, and stay properly hydrated. With that foundation in place, creatine can make a real and measurable difference in your quality of life after age 50. Now, one final note. Since I know that whey protein is also becoming very popular among people over 50, I've left a video appearing right now on the screen showing the mistakes you cannot make when taking that supplement. Make sure to check it out. Thank you for watching all the way to the end, and may God bless you, my friend.